Holy balls, what have I just seen? Wow, just wow. Oshinoko just dropped its first episode, which felt more like that of a movie with its 90-minute runtime, and it has to be up there with one of the best first episodes of new anime that I have ever seen. Like, those 90 minutes didn't feel out of place either. Everything that happened within the runtime just had your eyes glued to the screen, and man, the ending was just insane. I'm still kind of speechless about it. Now, there's a lot of hype around this show right now, and it's honestly so deserved. Oshinoko, along with Hell's Paradise, are the frontrunners of the most anticipated new anime of this spring 2023 season, but man, I think Oshinoko just exploded as the easy frontrunner for Anime of the Year. The anime's debut episode has had an enormous impact on the anime world, and I'm sure the manga fans are just sitting there thinking to themselves that, the anime onlys like myself have, absolutely no idea just what's in store yet. The first episode of Oshinoko was an emotional roller coaster for the viewers. Despite the funny and comedic beginning, the show just took on a much darker and much more corrupt twist that really takes the show to another level. Like I mentioned, when you turn on this episode, the first thing you think is, wow, that's 90 minutes. This is like a feature-length film. The second thing you notice is that the series looks stunning and oozes the atmosphere of a typical idol show. Then, as the events continue to unfold, you start to become more and more immersed in the series, and you eventually realize that something truly unique is happening and that the full 90 minutes were actually essential to convey the tale that the show wanted to tell. For me, all this series needs to do to keep people interested and to really make it the potential anime of the year series is to make sure that the following episodes are even remotely as entertaining as this pilot episode, which was simply, hypnotic. There are just not enough positive things to say about this episode and its function as the first in this series. Truly breathtaking stuff, man. And an aspect that was really cool to see with this show was that it was a critique of the situation of the entertainment business. The series does not hold back as it exposes the most repulsive aspects of what is regarded as one of the worst industries in the world, all under the disguise of this charming rebirth story. And even though the series featured the glamorous aspects of show business, there was a good dose of the dirty and real side of it beneath, the pretty outer glow that we were shown. And I gotta say, one thing I truly did love about my first impression of the show was, without a doubt, the characters. The characters in the show are significantly less cliched and one-dimensional than they initially appear to be. I was definitely skeptical of how they were going to execute the premise of the show, as it did sound like something we had seen before, but the characters really did shine and make me feel immersed in Oshinoko's world. Like the seemingly rather creepy Dr. Garu, who just had a little too much of the die-hard fanboy vibe for a 16-year-old idol, did offer a very logical justification for his liking of her, and it added that first, let's say darker feeling of the show that was, of course, to come as well. Garu reveals that I was introduced to him by a young girl named Serena, a patient who he had met a few years ago. Serena admired Ai so much and aspired to be just as famous an idol as her. However, her dream was short-lived since she died when she was only 12 years of age. As time passed, Garu found himself growing fond of Serena's idol until fate decided to surprise him. He learned that his new patient was none other than Ai, who was 16 years old and 20 weeks pregnant. While Ai's desire to have a family that she had never had made his heart sink, he started to feel a feeling of protectiveness towards her and her future family. Garu then spent all of his time trying to help Ai get ready for the birth. However, on the night Ai was due to give birth, Garu was thrown down a cliff by a mysterious guy who was seemingly like a really kind of big stalker fan of Ai. As Garu passed away, he had thoughts of both Ai and Serena in his mind. Now, Ai gave birth to the twins at the hospital. It was a boy with blue eyes and a girl with ruby eyes, aquamarine and, yes, ruby. These two were none other than the reincarnations of Garu and Serena, who both had their memories from their previous lives. Now, I wasn't sure about how this concept would go down at first, and it seemed a little too obvious, but the way in which these characters interacted with each other and the other characters totally blew me away, to be honest, and it took this kind of cliche, of course that was going to happen storyline, and turned it into something truly unique in a way that I was just so sucked into. Ai herself also didn't fit the mold or cliche of a standard idol, someone in her position. She really was a breath of fresh air and someone you felt this instant connection with. She just felt, real, if that makes sense. Rather than watching a character on screen, she was a real person with her own things going on, and you just connected to that. So yeah, even though the show took a few isekai concepts from other shows, the execution and the way it handled the theme of death made it a completely different experience. The story it delivered with all of these characters, so far, absolutely excellent. Also, I gotta give a huge nod to the director character. Man, he was such a vibe. His scenes and interactions with Aqua were, I've gotta say, some of my favorites, really. He was just so honest about how show business works and a guy who doesn't beat around the bush. The agency manager's wife was also wonderfully done. Her progression in that one episode, of course 90 minutes, but still beautifully done. Now, if you haven't watched the first episode of Oshinoko yet, then please go and watch it before finishing this video, because there are some big spoilers coming up next. Big spoilers that I really don't want to ruin for you. Now, the biggest talking point when it comes to Oshinoko is without a doubt the big twist that occurs at the end of the episode. And I have to say it was shocking, dark, and just totally insane in a way that you just do not see coming. So Ai was at the pinnacle of her success in her idol career. This was through her and the agency's hard work and determination. Ai was really reaching the very top. However, something truly shocking was about to happen. A devoted fan turns up on her doorstep with flowers, only for him to be the more psychotic and overly obsessive type of die-hard fan who had very personal information about Ai. He stabs her with a knife for lying to the fans about loving them and for having the twins and not telling anyone about it. Aqua saw the murder, which made everything worse. It was just crazy, man. Ai just remained faithful to her idol persona and forgave the killer. This made him flee the scene because he was just not anticipating that, that would be her response. And I've got to say, the next scene was a mixture of haunting, beautiful, and utterly heartbreaking. I seriously haven't gotten this scene out of my head since I saw it. So Ai and the twins' realization that she wasn't going to survive the stabbing, combined with her goodbyes to them, was just so well done, and it made that feeling in the bottom of your gut just hurt so very much. But at the same time, there was this essence of beauty about it, in that it was a display of a mother's love. Ai had never told the twins that she loved them because, she was afraid that the words wouldn't be true when she said them due to her life as an idol, where she was constantly lying to please the fans and the business around her. But she finally says it to them, and she is relieved that the words were true when she said them. And man, I've got to say, just talking about it is hard in itself. It takes a lot for me to get properly emotional about something, but that scene, man, damn, well done. Well done. And I have to say, the show did not hold back in its art style either. The shot of her when she had passed away was freaking wow. I had to read the manga chapters after watching the episode because the Oshinoko manga fans were just so full of praise for how well adapted the first episode was. And yeah, man, they nailed it. But the her being dead part was extra wow in the art style. The anime just went all out for that. That stuck in my mind as well. Crazy. Now, this is where the show completely changes, or, seems to be heading that way. And this has really captured my attention for wanting to be along for the entire journey. So Aqua recalled that the mysterious figure that had pursued Ai and killed him in his previous life was actually the same guy that killed Ai in this life. What was completely unexpected to him, though, was that this Stalker was just like an ordinary college student, and as a result, he wouldn't have been able to obtain any of Ai's personal information. And after her killing, he also committed suicide, so we couldn't get any answers from him. The police were also unable to find anything, and over time, the news of the murder case just gradually faded. However, Aqua felt in his heart that something else was going on. He was also certain that their biological father, whose name was unknown to anyone else, was responsible for this. Aqua swore then and there to live long enough to find and kill his mother's murderer. And I gotta say, the art style in that scene as well, oh my god, amazing. So Aqua and Ruby are 16 years old after the time skip, which was the same age as I was at the time of their birth, which is like a touching kind of thought in itself. So from this point on, the narrative appears to be around Aqua looking for the person who set the attacker up and killing him in revenge. And I gotta say, I'm really captivated with that twist, and I can't wait. I can't wait for next week's episode. Doga Kobo just absolutely killed it and did an outstanding job of bringing this series to life. Regardless of which way the pendulum swings in terms of where it goes from here, story and animation wise, this was a freaking amazing episode. The subtlety, storytelling, character development, harsh critique, and entertainment value were all way beyond what I had expected, and it seems like this anime will take not only the season, but the anime year by storm. And while you wait for the next video to drop, why not check out this video where I talk about the other highly anticipated anime this spring season, In Hell's Paradise. But that's it from me. You guys take care of yourselves till then. See you soon. Peace, peace.